Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. The reason for the video, and I made some other videos on this particular article, but this was from the NNT, but I found it via ASEAN Now, ASEANnow.com. Article is titled, CCSA to Consider Proposal to Suspend Test and Go in Thailand Pass. Quoting directly, a proposal to suspend the Test and Go scheme and the Thailand Pass registration will be submitted to the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration after the Songkran holidays to boost the tourism industry. Well, yeah, it will definitely be a boost. Anything would be better than having these programs. But the reason for the video, I mean, what concerned me is that word suspend rather than terminate. Suspend implies these things can come back, and I gotta say, that's about the last thing Thailand needs is to have this hanging over the tourism industry's head, because one, quarantine is quarantine. When we first started dealing with it, Thailand did a proper quarantine. They blocked their own citizens from returning for a certain period of time and then imposed quarantine protocols for those looking to return to Thailand. Now, in the past 2 years, I think it's pretty safe to say this was really an overreaction at the end of the day. Now, it's nobody's fault. We didn't know what it was. It just was what it was, and we should move on from that. But we know now that was the case. But quarantine is what it is. My big question is, what benefits have been garnered from having a certificate of entry regime or a test and go protocols, or what benefit has been garnered by the Byzantine bureaucracy associated with the Thailand Pass? The Thailand Pass and its sort of predecessor, the certificate of entry, these have just been incredibly difficult documents to deal with, the processing of which, you can read about it on pretty much anywhere across the internet, the troubles people have had dealing with this. We're a law firm. We were doing, especially certificates of entry, we were doing a number of those cases, and depending on the embassy, there were all these different factors. It was tough to deal with. Even for, seasoned Thai immigration lawyers that we've got here in the office, they were having a really hard time with it. And to what end? What benefit was garnered by having all this bureaucracy from a public health standpoint? If anybody can point to me some data on that, I'd love to see it. I find it really interesting. But that being said, yeah, so it's looking like they're going to suspend these protocols. That's great. I would love to see this just fade into the distant memories of all of our collective consciousness. But the notion that it's suspended does kind of creep me out, and I would much rather see the word terminate than suspend.